So as the World Cup kicks off in just a few days' time, in today's video we are going to be ranking every championship player that's going to the World Cup this month. So by my calculations, there are 25 championship players who have received call-ups to their national sides to represent their country at this year's tournament. And in today's video we're going to be ranking them all based on their average match rating from this season in the championship. 25 to 1, let's go. And as a quick disclaimer before we jump into the video, Anas Arouri was called up to the Moroccan squad after I'd gone ahead and recorded this video, so he isn't in the 25-man list I've got here. Coming in 25th place we have Cardiff City's Ruben Colwill, coming in with an average rating of 6.17. Now what will be quite a common theme throughout today's video is just how many Welsh players have been called up from the championship, but kicking us off in 25th place we have Cardiff's Ruben Colwill, who has sort of been on the fringes of that Welsh side, not actually played all too much football for Cardiff this season. Last season scored 5 goals, but so far this season has only racked up just over 250 minutes of championship football. In 24th place with an average rating of 6.3 we have his Cardiff City and Welsh teammate Mark Harris. He is currently Cardiff's joint top goal scorer in the championship with 3 goals this season. Cardiff, a side who haven't exactly been blessed with a whole lot of goals so far this season, but plenty of Harris's appearances so far this season have come on from the bench. 12 of his 21 appearances have been as a substitute, and we'd imagine he's going to be someone who will play a sort of bit part role for the Welsh side. Coming in 23rd place we then have Costa Rican international Justin Bennett of Sunderland. Took his goal really well in the championship against Watford in that 2-2 draw a few weeks ago, but he obviously came over to Sunderland as a young sort of protege to work up. All of his appearances in the championship so far this season have come in off the bench, but looked like a promising player whenever he's got the chance. I hope he does get some minutes in this World Cup. In 22nd place we have his Sunderland teammate Bailey Wright, who has been called up to the Australian national side ahead of the World Cup. He's come in with an average match rating of 6.45 for Sunderland so far this season. Bailey Wright, a player who I've always quite liked, really, obviously from his North End days, and not the only Australian to be called up from the championship, as we'll soon see. Hannibal is coming in 21st place with an average match rating of 6.45 for Birmingham so far this season. The Manchester United loanee who has been called up to the Tunisian national side ahead of the World Cup, obviously. Really tenacious midfielder. I think we've seen that in a Birmingham shirt so far, and not the only Birmingham player who will be at the World Cup. Coming in 20th place we then have Luton Town's Ethan Horvath, coming in with an average rating of 6.48. Really interesting one. Obviously the Luton Town goalkeeper did get a call up to the USA national team. Another American goalkeeper who he had in the championship in Zach Stefan, missing out on the selection in the end. But really interesting one, as of course there's every chance that he's playing against England in this World Cup, given the USA and England are of course in the same group stage, so that could be an interesting one to keep your eye on. In 19th place we have Middlesbrough's Riley McGree, coming in with an average match rating of 6.48. He got a call up to the Australian national side, scored an absolute worldie against Norwich on the last game week of the championship. And yeah, it's fair to say that Australia don't have the easiest of groups, with France and Denmark both in their group, but if he manages to sprinkle a little bit of magic into Group D, who knows. Reading fullback and Ghanaian international Baba Rahman is next up with an average match rating of 6.52. He's represented his country over 40 times so far, and I think it's fair to say that Group H could be one of the groups of deaths in this World Cup, with Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay and South Korea making up what is a really hard group to call. Coming in 17th place we then have Burnley's Connor Roberts, coming in with a match rating of 6.53. He obviously got the call up to the Welsh national squad. I am excited particularly for that England-Wales match, because, you know, everything that brings with it, you know, the rivalry between England and Wales and stuff, but the championship players that will be on show for the Welsh national side in that game I will have a particular eye on. Mamadou Liam of Reading is next up with an average match rating of 6.59 in the championship this season. He will be representing Senegal in the World Cup, who I think a few people are tipping as a potential dark horse, obviously, if the group stages work work out like a lot of people are predicting, there's every chance that England could come up against Senegal in the round of 16, which will be interesting. In 15th place, we have Swansea City's Joe Allen coming in with a rating of 6.6 this season. Obviously, a veteran of that Welsh squad, been around the game for absolutely ages, and someone who will bring that experience to that Welsh midfield, and I'm in no doubt about. Number 14 is his fellow Welsh teammate Sorba Thomas with an average match rating of 6.61 this season. Now, while Huddersfield's domestic campaign hasn't exactly gone to plan so far this season, Sorba Thomas is somewhat of a wild card in that Welsh national side. Obviously, absolute killer delivery from set pieces, and in knockout football, it's those sorts of things that can make absolutely all the difference. And with 6 assists in the Championship this season, he does have a bit to offer for that Welsh squad. Swansea City have quite a few representatives at this World Cup, and Olivier Ntcham is next up with a match rating of 6.61 in the Championship this season. Been a bit of a weird one to judge in the Championship, bit of a hit and miss player really, but on his day is absolutely a difference maker, particularly in the Championship and for Swansea. You know, that lovely goal he scored, for example, against Birmingham, but he'll be representing Cameroon at the World Cup despite actually being born in France. Made a couple of appearances for the Cameroon national team so far. Coming in 12th place, we will then have Bristol City's Antoine Semenyo with an average match rating of 6.63. Now, despite actually being born in England, he will be representing Ghana at this year's tournament. Has represented Ghana on 4 occasions so far, obviously. Everyone in the Championship knows what Semenyo's all about, and particularly playing for a side like Ghana, who are going to be playing on those fast breaks and transitions. Someone like Semenyo, if he does get on the pitch, could be in his element. Coming in 11th place, we have yet another Swansea City representative for Wales at this year's World Cup. It's Ben Cabango with an average match rating of 6.66. Will be interesting to see how Wales do set up defensively. I'd imagine they are going to go for that back three, and who are those three actually going to be come the time the tournament does roll around. Sané Dieng will be at the World Cup with Senegal. He's coming in at number 10 on today's list with an average match rating of 6.68 so far this season. Obviously, really consistent goalkeeper since moving over to QPR, and for the majority of his international career so far has been playing that backup role to Edouard Mendy. Sheffield United's Adam Davis is next up, coming in 9th place with an average match rating of 6.71. Now, he's only played 3 matches in the Championship this season and probably won't get any action in the World Cup itself, with Wayne Hennessy and Danny Ward both being ahead of him in the pecking order in the Welsh squad. But yeah, interestingly enough, he's coming in with that match rating so far, despite being Sheffield United's backup for the majority of this season. Coming in 8th place, we then have Christian Bielik with a match rating of 6.74. Been a superb addition to that Birmingham midfield. Really savvy pickup from the Blues in the summer, and obviously will be representing Poland in the World Cup. Honestly, a fully fit and firing Christian Bielik, and there's not many better holding midfielders at this level. Next then we have Junior Hoilett of Reading with a match rating of 6.76 so far this season. Still going strong at the age of 32. Scored 1 goal so far this season for Reading, and Canada are coming into this World Cup as maybe one of the underdogs. They've got a really quite exciting young and upcoming squad, and a player like Hoilett will obviously add that experience. We're getting into the big boys now though. In 6th place we have Watford's Ismail Assar with a match rating of 6.96 in the Championship this season. 6 goals, 4 assists, and of course will be representing Senegal at the World Cup. And given Sadio Mane's injury, the goal scoring onus is going to fall even heavier on the shoulders of someone like Assar, who's going to be the difference maker perhaps for Senegal at this World Cup. We have Norwich City's Josh Sargent, who will of course be representing the USA at the World Cup, so England may get a chance to come up against him. It's been probably to his benefit actually that Norwich dropped down to the Championship. Last season things just didn't quite fall for him in the Premier League, but so far this season in the Championship has been one of the most prolific players in the league. Coming in 4th place we have Queen's Park Rangers' Ilias Chair coming in with an average match rating of 7.71. One of the most aesthetically pleasing players to watch in the Championship in terms of how technically gifted he is. His all-round game, his creative numbers have been absolutely superb for QPR for quite a few years now, and he could be an absolute star in this tournament playing for Morocco. In 3rd place we then have Luton Town's Tom Lockyer with an average match rating of 7.19. One of the players who is probably on the fringes of being called up to that Welsh squad, but in the end did get the nod for the final 26-man squad, and I have to say deservedly so. Been a really integral member to that Luton backline so far this season, and probably has been one of those players to have slightly gone under the radar of how consistent he's actually been. In second place we have Sheffield United star boy Iliman Ndiaye coming in with a match rating of 7.21 this season, who will of course be representing Senegal, and like I was mentioning before with Sarr, given the Sadio Mane injury, maybe even more emphasis could fall upon his shoulders, and I really hope he gets his opportunity to shine for his nation in this year's World Cup. Following his story over these last few years from Boreham Wood to Sheffield United has been an absolute joy, and he's been lighting things up in the Championship this season. 9 goals, 2 assists, and only just pipped that #1 spot. All claiming the #1 spot with a rating of 8.09 this season, we have Stoke City's Harry Souttar. Now, the average match rating is, massively weighted in his favour, as he's only actually played 1 Championship match this season, but it's brilliant that he has been able to fully recover in time to go ahead and represent his nation at this World Cup. Really a once-in-a-lifetime sort of opportunity. Such a cruel injury blow which led him to missing so much football, but finally gone ahead and built himself back up, and in that game where he was back in action for Stoke against Luton, didn't look like he'd been away. 6 aerial duels won in that game is an absolute unit, and no doubt will be a crucial player for Australia. But guys, there we have it. There is every Championship player that will be going to the World Cup ranked on their average match rating so far this season. If you would like to see any other sort of content like this relating to the Championship and World Cup, do show your support on today's video, and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. Apart from that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.